Pumping that podcast wattage in your cottage, it's Think Digital. Get ready to take the red pill, think different about scaling your business, and free your mind. And now, coming to you live and direct from the Moon, Iowa, the greatest city in the universe, here's your guide, Justin Wise.
There is no spoon.
Pumping that podcast wattage into your cottage. Ladies and germs, it's Think Digital. Justin Wise here with you. I am the captain on this good ship. Welcome aboard. Today's topic is the content continuum. Content continuum. Say that 3 times fast or don't. Don't really care. Show notes will be available at thinkdigital.co/podcast. It's thinkdigital.co/podcast. So today is something very near and dear to my heart. Back when I was starting out Think Digital, the agency, I had really nothing. I had no money. I did not have a ton of, I didn't really have a network at that point. All I had was a dream. All I had was a dream and my keyboard and a laptop. And I could write. I could write copy like a riot, as Sublime would say. And so the journey of starting Think Digital began on the back of social media content. It's what I know best. It's what I love the most, is creating content. And, you know, it's amazing to me now to even think back to those days where, you know, really the first product I ever launched was basically PowerPoint presentation and like some narrated videos. I was able to launch, you know, and within a year was making in a month what I made in a full year back when I had a job. So the rhythm, the system, the process that I'm about to share with you today comes from those basement years back in 2013, 2014. Just grinding it out. Those years really did form. I mean, those formed my character. They formed my entrepreneurial kind of gusto. And my guess is that you've got a span. If you're listening to this podcast, you've got a span in your life where you would consider to be basement years. If you don't have them yet, you will. And I'm actually heading back into a basement year season right now. But back to the point. What I learned about social back in those days, 2013, 2014, was, number one, it could generate sales. Number two, it could connect me with influencers. So simply by the act of creating content, I was able to connect with heroes of mine. Gary Vaynerchuk, was able to go out and visit him. This was before he did any of the stuff they're doing now with VaynerMedia, back when they were just one floor in their Park Avenue offices. And I said, hey, Gary, I want to come visit you. And was able to make some connections to him through some people who enjoyed my content. I was able to connect with Mike Hyatt and his crew. Basically said, hey, Mike, come work for free. Just give me a spot at the table. And he was very gracious, a huge influence then and even now. And of course, others, lots of other people. But anyways, back to the point, it all centered around content. Now, when I say content, that's a really ambiguous, large, nebulous term. It's all encompassing for a reason because, you know, you ask people what's social media content and 100 different people are going to give you 100 different answers. What I learned during that time in creating content was, you know, and how we're going to define content today is basically there's 4 different modes, 2 different types. Content can be audio, like this podcast, video, like a Facebook Live, copy, like a blog post or an email, and visual or graphic, like an Instagram photo or a meme Or like this one guy we used to work with, he called them memes. And I was like, dude, it is not a meme. I'm sorry. I'm not calling it that. Anyways, so that's about the only types of content you can create. That's what I mean when I say content. But what I learned was that people run into content issues. And I learned this mostly from just seeing what worked and what didn't during those basement years. Content really runs into issues when it's boring, when it's dull, when it's self-centered, or self-promoting, or self-serving, or it solves zero problems. And I would say out of all the offenders on that list, the biggest one is your content is self-centered. Most content that you see exists to horn toot. It is not there to help a client or a prospect or a lead or a community. It's there to basically say, look at me, look at me. This is why content fails. And this is why, and I still get caught in this trap. This is why back then, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. And a lot of people never learn this lesson. And this is, by the way, why someone can create content that is visually stunning, that is pristine. It is laid out and designed and shot and composed beautifully, but it totally misses the mark. And then you have people who are banging out content on like Microsoft Note in Courier New font, and they're killing it because they dig into the pain point of their audience. And that's what they care about. And people really don't care what it looks like. What they care about, does it solve the pain? Does it help me? So I want to give you a really, really simple formula for how you can create content that resonates with your audience. It's very simple, very straightforward. I feel like I say that a lot on this podcast. I don't like things that are complicated. In fact, one of the values in our business is we kill complexity. So I don't like stuff that's complex, mainly because A, it doesn't work. B, complexity kills. And what I've also learned is that complexity is there to mask inefficiencies. Complexity masks inefficiencies. Complexity masks insecurities. So when you hear people start flipping into jargon speak, and marketers are notorious for this, we start using complex words or jargon, it's because we're actually fundamentally insecure. And so we have to use big conflated terms and terminology, fancy pants, jargon to make it sound like we know what we're talking about instead of just actually knowing what we're talking about. So most everything that you see or hear from me or Think Digital is simple, and that's intentional because I want people to grasp it. Simple does not mean simplistic, okay? Very important. So the content continuum, it is consistency, curiosity, community, credibility. I'm going to go through each one of those in turn. Consistency, curiosity, community, credibility. Let's start at the top. Take it from the top, boys. Let's start from the top. Consistency. This is first for a reason. It is the most important. When I say consistency in your content, what do I mean? Well, I mean you're consistent. I mean you pick a schedule and you stick to it. And this is where people come up with really dumbass things like, what's the perfect time to tweet? What's the science behind the perfect Facebook post? And I'm not saying there's not best practices, but consistency does not mean having some dogmatic, content calendar that exists in a spreadsheet somewhere that no one follows. That's not what I mean by consistent content. I mean you show up. For some, like in my case, this is going to mean producing content, written, audio, visual, written, or graphical. I hope that's a word. It's showing up and creating content every day. I am consistent. I produce content daily, whether it's for an email list, whether it's for a Facebook Live. It might be on Instagram. Maybe it's a Facebook post. Maybe it's something for a group. Maybe it's something for our team. Walkthrough video, you name it. I am in the habit of creating daily content. I know a lot of buddies of mine who are in this space. They're the same way. They create content consistently. This podcast is consistent. It's a weekly podcast. And there are times where that's a real big pain in my ass. And JR, our amazing team, and Rachel, who produced this show, they can attest. Sometimes I'm not always punctual, but I committed to being consistent. Now, you may not be daily. You may say, hey, like there's an amazing realtor here in town, Des Moines, Kelsey. She has a Tuesday tip. So her audience knows every Tuesday, Kelsey's going to make a video posted on her Facebook page about the home buying process. That's consistent. Mary Meeker, as I record this, Mary Meeker just dropped her state of internet trends for 2018. She does that every single year. She's not producing that report every month. She's producing that report every year. That usually drops sometime in May or June.
You're listening to Think Digital with Justin Wise. The next step down the rabbit hole is to sign up for the No Spoon newsletter, a free weekly email designed to increase your productivity, grow your influence, and free your mind. Take the red pill and head on over to thereisnospoon.co to sign up.
Point is, there's not some, content god somewhere saying, here is the perfect time. Let me give you my 10 commandments. No, it doesn't exist. Consistent means picking a schedule, a rhythm that you can stick to and creating content consistently and varying it up. This is one area that we've been exploring with here, where if you give me an option, 10 times out of 10, I'm going to write something. But we're also in a multimedia age. We know that people don't always just consume content that's written. So we've been varying it up, introducing some images, introducing some video elements to our marketing. This podcast, another example. So staying consistent. Now, why do you stay consistent? Well, if you stay consistent, what you get is regularity. You get predictability. And that's certainly good for your audience, but it's also good for you because what you get from that is data. You get information. If I'm creating content every day, you better believe that when I look behind the curtain and I dig into the analytics, I'm going to start seeing trends. Selfishly, this is one reason why I stay consistent, because I want to know what's resonating with my audience. So look at it this way. If I'm consistent on a daily basis, and I know many of you listening to this are the same way, but if you're consistent on a daily basis, at the end of 30 days, you're going to have a lot of data points to look back on, as opposed to if you're only creating content, let's say on a weekly basis. If you just want to look, if you create a content piece every day, that's going to be 30 data points, as opposed to a content piece every week, that's going to be 4 data points or maybe 5. So the point is you can make decisions a lot quicker on what creates curiosity, what piques your audience's curiosity. That's the second element of the content continuum. Consistency is first, curiosity is second. Where curiosity, you're going to see, hey, out of these content pieces, what piques the curiosity of my ideal persona? What resonates with them? And you know that just simply by feedback. Engagement is a great tool to measure this. Open rates, great tool to measure that. Click-through rates, views, likes, comments, shares, retweets, whatever. What is piquing the curiosity of your audience? You get those data points by staying consistent with your content. So we have consistency. Then consistency allows us to see what piques curiosity. And from there, we create more content that feeds our community. Now, I want to say a little something about community, because that's the fourth element in the content continuum. What you want to do here is polarize. So when I create content, my best content, in my mastermind, we call this drawing a line in the sand. My best content is the content that gets the no's to say no faster and gets the yeses to say yes quicker. I want to push people in one direction or the other. I do not want a squishy middle. I do not want a squishy middle. I want to polarize. I want to get the no's in the no camp faster, and I want to get the yeses in the yes camp faster. And you do that by drawing a line in the sand, by polarizing. And so for some people, that means saying things that you know are going to offend, that you know are going to frustrate, that you know are going to antagonize. Why? Not because you're a jerk, or maybe you are a jerk, I don't know, but that's not what I do it. You do that because, we used to do this a lot with our email list. We don't do it anymore because we've, for the most part, cleaned this up. But we used to do about once a year, like, hey, if you're not enjoying this, or if you don't want to hear about this topic, and this topic, you should just unsubscribe right now. And I remember the first couple times we did this, we actually got in trouble with MailChimp because they're like, hey, you've got way too many unsubscribes from this one email. What the heck did you say? We're like, hey, it's cool. We just actually asked people to do this. Like, get off the bus. If you don't enjoy this, get off the bus. And that's the community part. You do yourself a disservice by trying to cater to both sides of the aisle. No, you want to polarize. You want to push people out. Not because you're mean or nasty, but because they're not your target market. They're not your community. They're not your people. You may think they're your people. They're not. And you're on the right track when, like, my friends used to say, I'm so sorry, I'm unsubscribing from your list. And I'm like, sweet, good. My own wife was like, hey, sweetheart, I love you, but I'm unsubscribing from your list. And I was like, perfect. She doesn't want to know about Facebook ads. She wants to know about, like, paleo recipes, which is awesome. It's just I don't talk about paleo recipes. So consistency allows you to see what piques curiosity. Curiosity allows you to feed your community with the content that they want and need, and that will be helpful for them. It serves them. And this gives us credibility. Oh boy. When you find your community, when you find your people, and you pour into them with valuable content, your level of credibility rises to the top. You become a very credible, very trustworthy source. I'll give you an example just because this is recent. We use a methodology in our agency that I've called the traffic trinity. And up until a little while ago, we only made this available to clients. But I turned that traffic trinity into a training and handpicked a list of entrepreneurs. We sold out the training, kept it super small, and taught this traffic trinity to this amazing group of entrepreneurs. And the feedback from that, I rolled that out not really knowing how it was going to land, because up until, again, that point, we had just rolled with the traffic trinity internally. It was just something that we used and implemented for all of our clients on the agency side. So I wasn't quite sure how it was going to land. And when I started getting emails and Facebook messages that said, that was hands down the best Facebook training I've ever taken, multiple people saying, listen, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on Facebook ad training, and nothing came near the level of detail and helpfulness that the traffic trinity did. And I don't share that to, I don't need pats on the back. We know it works. We've been using it for our agency for, the better part of a year now. We already know it works. But to hear that, and more importantly, to have the credibility now with those entrepreneurs. So I know when I roll out another training, I've got that credibility with them. And this, by the way, to kind of bookend this is what really helped when I was getting started back in 2013, 2014, and had nothing. What I had was the ability to create content. And content, once you are consistent and you create content that piques curiosity and you feed your community, you get the credibility. That credibility, by the way, was what allowed me to get in the room with those people I was talking about earlier. It's what allowed me to, back in the day when I really had no network, to have, amazing people like Pat Flynn, Amy Porterfield, Jeff Goins on my old podcast. Certainly getting in the same room with Gary Vee and Mike Hyatt. So content can take you far. And this content continuum will serve you well. We continue to do this and implement it. If you go to the show notes, which you can find at thinkdigital.co/podcast, I'm going to put on there an image of what this actually looks like. We've built a diagram for it. Again, you're going to see it and it's straightforward, but I want to show you how it looks, what it looks like. And by the way, the one thing that I'll mention as I'm just wrapping up is that, the further you get into the continuum, the less people you will have consuming your content. That's by design. You want that. Think of this as just, again, polarizing, going through the discerning process, helping people self-select out so that you know, and they know, more importantly, hey, Justin creates content for this person, these type of people, or Joe, or Susie, or Bobby, or Billy. They are in the business of helping XYZ. And that's a process of people saying yes. And it actually includes most people saying no. So to wrap that up, the content continuum is consistency, curiosity, community, and credibility. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I want you to tell me one thing that you learned today, one thing you're going to do different. Hit me up on Facebook. Switching it up. Hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/Justin Wise, and let me know. As always, we've got a gift for you. You can sign up for that digital marketing goodie designed to help you build your audience and influence their action at thinkdigital.co/gift. That's thinkdigital.co/GIFT. We'll be back next week consistently with another new episode of Think Digital. In the meantime, have fun, stay safe, and we'll see you online. Bye-bye, everybody.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.